a forgotten house, visions of a lady at the door, and an unexpected disappearance. In every family, there are stories best left untold. For Mark and Betty's family, it began when their youngest daughter saw something sinister. Before you dive into this eerie tale, subscribe to the channel for such unsettling stories. A long time ago, in a small town in Wisconsin, nestled amidst farmlands and dense woods, a family of 5 resided. It had been a year since they relocated to this new place. Mark Gray, the patriarch of the family, inherited it from his great-grandfather. It always belonged to their family, but they never bothered settling here until last year. Mark, a sturdy farmer in his mid-40s, and Betty, his devoted wife, had 3 children: Lucy, the eldest, then Lucas and Harper, their youngest, who was frail and often sick. Harper was plagued by endless fevers since birth. Her illnesses had always been a source of worry. The local doctor reassured them that there was no reason to worry. He attributed her poor health to her premature birth. Her fevers brought hallucinations, visions of things no one else could see. But these visions felt real to Harper, sometimes too real. One crisp autumn afternoon, Mark left for the nearby town to gather supplies for the farm. Harper, battling one of her fever spells, grew uneasy. Her small voice trembled as she told Betty, "Something feels wrong. I'm scared, Mama." Betty encouraged her to rest, hoping sleep would soothe her troubled mind. Lucy and Lucas stayed by Harper's side, telling stories to distract her. Evening fell and Mark returned, but Harper's fever persisted. As the family wrapped up dinner, all of a sudden, Harper let out a blood-curdling scream. "Go away! Go away!" she shrieked, her eyes wide with terror, fixed on the doorway. "What is it, darling?" Betty asked, rushing to her side. Harper pointed with a trembling finger. "A lady. She's at the door. Her eyes are white. She's calling me. She's saying we all need to leave this house." Mark exchanged worried glances with Lucy and Lucas. Lucy felt a chill creep up her spine as she listened to Harper's frantic words. Despite their attempts to calm her, Harper continued to scream about the blind lady until she fainted in Betty's arms. Panicked and desperate, Mark and Betty decided to take Harper to the doctor in the next town over. They instructed Lucy and Lucas to stay home and keep the doors locked. The 2 siblings huddled in the living room, seeking comfort in each other's presence. Lucy and Lucas tried to keep their fears at bay by reading books together, but as exhaustion set in, they dozed off on the sofa. Hours later, Lucy awoke to a soft but persistent knocking at the door. Lucy felt a sudden hitch in her heartbeat. Confused, she crept toward it and called out, "Who is it?" But no one answered. She knew that her father would carry his keys all the time and would choose not to knock unnecessarily late at night. She returned to wake Lucas, but found him deeply asleep. The knocking continued, a rhythmic sound that echoed through the house like a ghostly whisper. Lucy froze, clutching a pillow. She squeezed her eyes shut, hoping it would go away. Minutes later, the knocking stopped. But when she opened her eyes, Lucas was gone. Panicking, Lucy searched the house, calling his name. "Lucas!" she shouted, as she searched every room in vain. Climbing the stairs with dread pooling in her stomach, she saw Lucas ascending the wooden steps leading to the trapdoor to the attic, a place long sealed off from their lives. "What are you doing?" she called out. "I'm going to get Harper," he replied breathlessly. "She's calling for me." "Harper isn't here," Lucy insisted desperately. She went with Mom and Dad. But Lucas shook his head vehemently. No, I can hear her. She needs me. Lucy grabbed his arm, trying to pull him back. You can't go up there. It's been closed for years. But Lucas was resolute. He pushed open the trapdoor leading into darkness and vanished inside. Lucas! Lucy cried out, but received no answer. Terror gripped her as she stood at the foot of the stairs, contemplating whether she should follow him or wait for him to return. The attic loomed above like a dark mouth ready to swallow them whole. Minutes turned into an agonizing silence, until finally she heard it, the sound of keys rattling at the front door. Relief flooded through her mildly. Mark, Betty, and Harper were back. Mom! Dad! She yelled as they entered. Mark rushed upstairs without hesitation, while Betty followed closely behind him. Lucas is in the attic! Lucy cried, tears streaming down her face. Mark reached the foot of the stairs leading up to the attic. He stared at the trapdoor. Lucas, come down! He shouted angrily and rushed up. He opened the trapdoor but found it empty, completely devoid of life, except for dust motes dancing in the dim light, filtering through a cracked window pane. Where is he? Mark demanded furiously at Lucy when he turned back around. I don't know. I swear I didn't do anything. Lucy cried out in desperation. They searched every corner of their home, calling out for Lucas, but found nothing but silence in return. As night fell upon them like a shroud of despair, Mark decided to seek help from their neighbors, while Betty stayed behind with Lucy and Harper. Days turned into weeks, without any sign of Lucas. Even the police weren't able to find him. The family was shattered. Betty couldn't stop crying, while Mark became a shadow of his former self, lost in grief and desperation. Then one afternoon, a knock echoed from the attic. Mark, his grief replaced by fury, stormed upstairs. I'll kill whatever is up there, he snarled. But when he opened the trapdoor, he stopped cold. Lucas lay there, shirtless and covered in scratches. His eyes, now white as pearls, stared blankly. He growled low and guttural, like a wounded animal. Mark gasped at the sight. They rushed Lucas to the doctor, who examined him with a grim expression. The scratches, they're strange, and his eyes. I've never seen anything like this. Lucas couldn't speak. Whenever he tried, his words dissolved into stammering whispers. He seemed trapped in his own mind, terrified of something. This went on for days, and the family felt helpless about Lucas's situation. One night, as the family sat in the living room, a familiar knock came from the attic. Mark and Betty exchanged a glance. This time, they would face whatever haunted their family together. Leaving Lucy to watch over her siblings, they climbed the stairs and went in through the trapdoor. The air thickened with an otherworldly presence. They saw a figure cloaked in shadows standing silently in one corner of the attic. A woman, dressed in tattered black robes whose face remained hidden beneath long strands of hair that hung like curtains around her head. As she turned slowly towards them, their blood ran cold. The whites of her eyes glowed eerily against all darkness surrounding them, while laughter bubbled forth from deep within her throat, a sound so haunting it sent shivers racing down their spines. I've waited so long, she crooned softly, a voice laced with sorrowful madness. For my children, for my revenge. Mark clenched his fists tightly at his sides. Fury ignited within him as he demanded answers. What do you want from us? The figure stepped closer, her laughter fading into an unsettling silence filled only by whispers swirling around them like smoke. This house was mine, belonged to my family, until it was taken away from me. Your ancestors took everything from me. I hid in this attic with my children. I begged for mercy, but they slaughtered us. Betty clutched Mark's arm, her face pale. "What do you want from us?" she whispered. The woman's ghostly form flickered. "My children. I want them back. And now, they are mine again." Her voice dropped to a whisper. "Haven't you left your daughter alone with my new children?" Mark and Betty bolted downstairs. To their horror, they found Lucy, Lucas, and Harper lying motionless on the floor. Their mouths hung open, and their eyes were white as the moon, just like the woman. In unison, a voice, not theirs but the woman's, spoke through them.
"They are mine now."
For more such spine-chilling stories, subscribe to Sinister Tales.